If you want to be a top 1%, can you work 8 to 10 hours a day with nobody telling you what to do?
I think AI is at the same place as like the internet was in the early 2000s. Like, I don't think it's going to replace people, but people using AI will replace people.
ChatGPT will not teach you how to sell, but being able to show it data, like where do I need to focus my attention to get the highest possible uplift, or even asking it questions like, what are some unusual patterns that I'm unlikely to recognize? And I think that what AI does is it takes away some of the barrier of having to be techie. You change one metric per month, and if you can significantly increase 12 metrics across a sales process or even a sales call, you have a significantly increased outcome by the end of it. Hey guys, what's up? Matt here. Welcome to the episode of Coffee is for Closers. Myself and Caden, the Dirty Sanchez. Back in
Dirty.
Yeah, what we're going to be going over today is AI. Probably not going to do too much ranting and raving about sales AI, but like we'll go through that, but also just like AI tools that we use as salespeople, people who identify as salesmen, right? Or sales them, yep. I believe is the term. Is it sales them? Is that what it is?
Salesperson,
gentle them. Yeah, I was on stream the other day and I wore a t-shirt that said my pronouns are fuck you. And I forgot I was wearing it. I was streaming.
That's a good one. I mean, it fits.
It is. It's equally discriminating to everybody, which I feel is probably the way to live life. Okay, so we'll start with this. This is the Limitless AI pen, pendant. There's a couple of them. I love all these little AI tools and hacks. I use this one. This, like, if the light's on, it's recording, right? Yep. As I used to tell my wife, if the red light's on, it means it's off, right? So, so
you leave it on, don't you?
Exactly. No, baby, the red light means it's off. So it records everything that I say in all the conversations, and if I'm like on the phone, I just have it on like speakerphone, stuff like that. And then what I do is it has like an app on my phone, and then it basically will give me like summaries of my entire day. And so it's like my assistant. I've got Beth back, by the way. Hell yeah, you know that. So she's got access to it. And then like if you double click this here, all right, then it goes gold, and I can just say, hey, this is the start of the podcast. And then from there, it will start compiling everything into like a specific time chunk. And then I can ask it questions, and I can just go in there and I can chat. I can be like, hey, like I have it on all day. I can be like, hey, my wife said something around 10 a.m. about like a school function, like what was that? And it kind of brings it up, and then it will summarize.
But and do you use it mainly to stay on track? So that, like, because I think both of us, get ADD'd out or ADHD'd out, where we get distracted and we tell people things with like the best intentions, and then we get distracted. Do you use it to more make sure you're not forgetting things, or is it like strategy to help you increase?
No, it's to make sure that I don't forget things. So at the end of the day, I'll sit down and go, what are all the sort of tasks that I said I was going to do? And then I can compile that into a list, and then I can put it into my, like there's Google's got like a to-do list, right? And I use that because you can get email summaries, and then it will automatically compile it, like Gemini in Gmail you can have it automatically compile to-do list based on your emails.
That's pretty smart though. Not that everything you do isn't smart, but some of the things are arguable. But it's smart not because it's just compiling your to-do list, but as I think about that, it takes away a lot of your probably mental bandwidth to where you no longer have to think about the to-do list. You just do it. It sounds like.
Yeah. And then, like, for example, like Ben, our CTO at Dialer, he's essential to what we do. And sort of some of what he does, he just does it. So I got him one of these. And so every meeting he's on, everything he has is all compiled, right? But then also just all the conversations. And as he's like, I even use it when I go to the gym. I just say, like, one set, 100 kilo bench press, 12 reps, just stuff like that. And I say my workout, I say my food, and I have like an accurate representation of what I worked out, of like all the weights that I lifted, and I can just look, and then I compile that, and then what I do is in my in my calendar, I'll go through and copy and paste and put it into like the event. And so then when I work out the next day, or the next week, I can go back and show like what weights I did, right? Because I like tracking all that. Yeah. And so it just allows me to sort of remember everything, and then you sort of don't have to go backwards to move forwards. You can just kind of keep moving forwards. And then if you've got anyone in your organization that's just like essential, and you're always like, man, like I need a comprehensive record of everything this person does, then it's a great way to do that. And then it also links up with a tool that I use on my computer called Rewind, which is about the same company, but that screen records everything all the time. But it also audio records. So it's audio recording.
What's the benefit of that?
So anytime, what it's doing is it does an analysis of every word on the screen. So all I have to do is go command and then swipe back with 3 fingers on my laptop and type in any word or any name, and it comes up with every single instance of that. Right? And then I can give it context, and then it will bring up the screen recording with the audio. And then I'll talk on top of like what I'm doing in the computer because I know that it's doing it. So I'll give some more context as I'm speaking. And that way, it's basically perfect recall. So if anyone's like, "Oh, you said this," I'd be like, "I don't remember that. I was on a meeting this year." I can go, whoop, go to the meeting, and it's like way easier than trolling through meeting notes or whatever, because it's every word or every keyword, and I can just search it, find it, grab the screen recording, and then like get it summarized and email it off type stuff. And it will also automatically compile, meeting notes and stuff like that. But I use Gemini for that anyway. But it's a like super handy way of just having perfect recall with everything. And it means that you're just way less likely to just make mistakes, but also just forget to do key things. And if you are doing certain key processes, it's sort of a really good way of just documenting them, and then it stores it on a server, right?
It's almost like a way you could also hold yourself accountable. Like if you struggle, because I think a lot of sales reps, and we both know this, we both have worked around a lot of sales reps. A big struggle of sales reps is sometimes that they want it to be a different problem other than just themselves.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, I think it's like if you're being watched. It's interesting. I was having a meeting. A friend of mine, he was like, "Hey, I've got this really old friend of mine. He's had a rough life, and he wants to kind of, get into something, and I want him to get into sales. Would you chat to him?" I was like, "Yeah, sure, I'll chat to him." So I spoke to him, and the guy was really nice, and he was but it was like, I was like, the big difference between most reps, like if you want to be a top 1%er, is you got to be willing to work full days and he's like, "Oh, I'll work." I was like, "Yeah, but the difference is, man, no one's going to tell you what to do."
Yep.
I was like, can you work 8 to 10 hours a day with nobody, not looking over your shoulder, but nobody telling you what to do?
Nobody else holding. Well, it's an interesting phenomenon because in all of society, I would assume it's the same way in Australia, but especially here in the States, in a regular job, you're not rewarded for working that hard. If I go into my 9 to 5 and I finish early, they don't pay me more money, and I don't get to leave. They give me someone else's work. And so I basically am constantly getting taught to be inefficient, even in grade school. Be inefficient, be inefficient, be inefficient, be inefficient. Like I had to go to my parents sent me to a private high school because I was getting in a bunch of trouble. But all my grades were good through elementary and middle school. And so it was like, why are you doing this? And it was basically because I would finish my work before everybody, and then I would just be an absolute fuck.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
And they sent me to a harder school, and then no more problems.
Yeah. Fuck.
Yeah, it's like I did the work before everybody. Now I get to fuck around, right?
Exactly.
That's fair.
Oh, yeah. No, it makes total sense. And I think one of the hard things is as well is people don't know what to do. If you have inbound book calls, it's like sweet, but then that's only going to be like 3 to 4 hours a day. Yeah. But with no show rates and stuff like that, it's like, what do you do for the other 4? And I think people just don't do anything. And that's because they don't I don't think they realize they're not doing anything. So tools like these, like they're phenomenal ways to, actually figure out what you're doing. And then go, okay, but then you've got to sort of create a plan And I think if you use some of these tools, then you can start to get a summary of like what's working and what's not working, and you can start to sort of streamline shit a little bit more, and you can actually start using your time more effectively. But I mean, don't get any of these tools if you're working 3 hours a week. It's like 3 hours a day. It's just a waste of everyone's time.
Well, you could almost, even if you don't know where to come up with the plan, you could literally tell ChatGPT how you make money, what your commission plan is, coach it through it, and then you could feed it all of the information from these other tools.
Yeah, and you can even screenshot you can screenshot your calendar, and you can put it in there and say, and then put all your data in, and then say, based on all the data that I have and my, my day to day, this is what I want to do. This is how much money I want to make. This is all this. Like, what would be a good daily routine, and how much work should I do, and all this kind of stuff. And it will sort of tell you like a pretty good estimation, because if you have, for example, date timestamps on every call you've done, whether it's a show or a no show, congratulations, you can now do an analysis of per day of week, per time of day, show ups. And so like if you go to the gym at 1 o'clock every single day, or at 1 o'clock Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, and Tuesday and Thursday at 1 o'clock is your highest show rate, like you should move your gym time, Duddy.
Just be efficient.
Yeah, exactly. So you can move things around. One of the first things I do if a company wants me to help out is I always ask them, are they tracking show up rate per time a day? And they're like, no. I was like, well, can you get the data? Because like that would be helpful, because what if all of your team meetings are in stupid times? They're like, oh yeah. And all of a sudden you just like take out the dumb team meetings, and then, like add a little bit more efficiency, and all of a sudden you get a 10-15% uplift in sales, just because it was a better way of doing the diary and you got more shows. That's really it.
You're just reorganizing time. I've used ChatGPT for that quite a bit on my own calendar.
Yeah.
Just balancing all of the different things that are moving, like different moving parts, especially when we had the new baby, because I had to find time that didn't exist.
Exactly. It's a phenomenal tool. Like, I use it a lot. I use ChatGPT a lot. I'll feed it like sales call transcripts, and then if I can feed it like say 10 good calls, and like when I was onboarding my sales rep for Dialer, Frankie, I was like, oh, like I haven't really sort of written a script because I'm just doing it. So what I did is I just put like 10 of the calls that I did in there. And I was like, hey, break down a framework and a step-by-step of how I'm doing this. And it was fantastic. It was like
really good.
So good. And then I could even change it. I could be, hey, make this an NEPQ style, or make this a straight line style, or make this. And then we'll just do it.
I think that's where people mess up. I think that's where people mess up AI, though, is you've been using it long enough, you probably don't even really think about it. But if you don't ask it what to do properly, it will. It does it well, but you have to give it context and perspective from which to write from. Even like when I did my calendar, it gave me my calendar, the whole week as I went through it, and it was a decently long thread, but it just wasn't doing what I wanted it to. And finally, I just said, "What perspective are you writing this from?" And I don't remember what perspective it said. But it was one that I was like, yeah, that doesn't like this is way off, right? And I gave it the perspective of what I wanted it to shoot from, and then it did it perfectly.
Yeah, you got to be very precise with what you're asking for, because you're getting pure logic back, So whatever you tell it to do, right? Then it's going to do that in the most literal form. It's not going to like interpret your words, because there's also it's on text. There's no tonality. There's no nothing. I also find that asking it how to prompt is good. So like, hey, how do I prompt you to do this? And then also you can, if you talk to it as well, like if you do the talk mode as well, I find that you get a lot more kind of productive back and forth, because you can make it ask you questions and, and stuff like that. And you can sort of, kind of ramble a little bit, and you find that you end up over speaking, but then that can provide a lot more context. For the task that you're doing. And it's a game changer for a lot of sales reps and a lot of businesses that they start just running their data through it.
Yeah, just running your data through it, you don't even really have to do much. You can literally just give it a bunch of data, and it will it'll interpret it and it'll do amazing things with it. It's pretty impressive, and it'll show you really where to focus. Do you have like a prompt, like that is your general format, or do you just talk it into oblivion?
No, I just talk it a lot. But I sort of, I guess I just know how to do it. I've been doing it for so long. You just have to be really, really precise. Like if you
Yeah.
want an image, you're like, I would like an image in this style. I want it to be like from this aspect. I want to see these details. You just like you sort of ask it anything like you're asking it to make an image.
Yeah.
If you just go like, show me an elephant, it could, like, if in your head you want it hyper realistic and you don't ask for hyper realistic, it's got no reason to show you hyper realistic. Or if
you're gonna get Dumbo.
Yeah, exactly. Well, there was a really funny thing, which I think is interesting, where there was a while there where I don't know if it's still the case, where no matter what you did, you could not get ChatGPT to show you an image of a full wine glass. Right? It would always, you go, I want it full, like so full, there's wine overflowing and spilling out the edges. And it would just show you a half full wine glass every time. And it was like, this is a wine glass. It's so full. And it was like, no more. Oh, sorry, I'll change that. And it was like, this is so full, like that. And it was describing it. And it was just always half full, because you've never seen a wine glass that wasn't half full. Like no one pours a wine glass all the way to the top and takes a photo of it. So the only
it literally didn't know.
Yeah, it just doesn't know what it looks like. So because it's not making things, it's stitching things, right? So like, which is interesting. And that when I saw that, I was like, oh, that's interesting. So you have to be, you'd have to sort of give it a different reference point in order for it to do that. And it might still be the same. I'm not really sure, but I'm sure it's probably better now because their new image generation stuff is amazing. But I thought that was funny. It's just because there's not a single picture on the internet of a full wine glass.
That's pretty crazy to think about. Yeah. There's not one on the internet.
Yeah, there wasn't any that I could find anyway. And it was, well, like, whenever you see like a red wine, right? It's just always like, what is it, like the bottom third or the bottom half of the glass. No one's filling them all the way to the top, to the tippy top, like a beer. So
it's not classy.
Yeah, exactly.
It just screams alcoholic.
It does. Yeah. No one's taking photos of that anyway. So yeah. So I've been using that for a while, but I think like you can get a really good idea. I train a lot of reps, and I'm always like, if you can get the transcript of your call, and this is even like business owners. If you're struggling, like, what do I do for a show up sequence? Well, why don't you get 20 calls loaded up or 50 calls loaded up and say, what are the most common questions that are stopping people from moving forward? Right.
Yeah.
And it's like you get a bunch of them, or like, what are the questions that are going unanswered, or what are the common threads that people are having coming in about questions that I could answer beforehand? And you'll get 5 or 6 like common threads. Then you just do a video or a little article on each one of those. And it's so simple. And it's like, now you actually have the ability to do that like seamlessly. And you can have a little chat bot or a little bot or whatever chat that's going on for each one of your reps, upload their sales calls, right? And then you can get like, what they're good at, what they're bad at. You can upload their data, and you can have things for each individuals. And then if you want to put all the resources of the business, then you can create a little chat bot for your team to be able to ask it questions. Yeah. And and you can have all of the resources of the company there, and that way, like, they're never not going to have the information in which they require. And so, like, it's so
not that you couldn't do that before. It's that it's 1,000 times easier now,
and it's cheap.
Yeah,
yeah. I've got ChatGPT Operator. I don't really use it much. I don't really think it's there yet, where it'll button click for you.
Oh, really?
Right, okay. So you can get it to do tasks, right? So like you can get it to like log in and book travel. Do you know what I mean? And it can definitely do stuff like that pretty simply, but it's sort of, I think, probably 6-12 months away, and then it will be able to do things quite well, because it's quite like, you have to be very specific, and if you don't sort of watch it, it'll do something weird, right?
Yeah, and then you don't know. It's an actual task, so if you're not watching it, that's kind of a big deal.
Yeah, exactly. So, and I'm sure that once you have it really, really dialed in, you can have it just do like a daily repetitive task. Like you could have it, go in every day and just sort your emails and then compile your emails into a Google Doc, right? Like with the headline and the link, you could do that. And once you watched it do it a couple of times and you were giving it like updates and little tweaks, then it would be, you know, kind of like good to go. Yeah. So I think like if people aren't using it, they definitely should be. And I think that from a sales rep perspective, they can probably make themselves a lot better just by having a really good understanding as to what they're good at, what they're bad at. You know, I recently had a rep that I'm working, a business that I'm working with, and she like just started smashing everyone, like smashing everyone. And her name's Sophia, and like then I was like, all right, cool. What are you doing? And it was basically she's just tracking all the stuff that I told her to track, and she'd been tracking it like meticulously, and then putting all of her calls through the AI and going like, okay, like what are the common threads, and just asking questions, trying to understand more and more and more about how she sells, what she's good at, what she's bad at, and taking a really active role in achieving her goals. And man, she's like doubled her income, you know?
Yeah, she's not necessarily looking for it to teach her how to sell. She's looking for it to show her where to focus.
Yes. Because ChatGPT will not teach you how to sell. It doesn't
It's not very good at that.
No, it doesn't do humans. But being able to show it data and then go like, where do I need to focus my attention to get the highest possible uplift? Or even asking it questions like, you know, what are some unusual patterns that I'm unlikely to recognize? And
That's
it
a
will
good one.
go, oh, here, this. You're like, oh, okay. Yep, sweet. That makes sense. You know, can you explain how you're seeing that, why you're seeing that? Are there any, you know, adjustments that you would make based off what you're seeing, stuff like that? And you can start to get a good idea and start to be an active participant. And I think that what AI does is it takes away some of the barrier of having to be techie, because I can just put a CSV file in there. I can just, you know, put screenshots in there, and I don't have to be particularly techie in order to start getting the outcomes of someone who's doing like deep data analytics work.
You can
And
get the same outcomes now from
exactly.
just doing that. And one thing that you mentioned there that I think is really important is pushing back on it. Right. Pushing, not necessarily pushing it back and being like double check your work, although I do think that is good sometimes, but asking it questions, not just feeding the data and taking it. It's what perspective are you writing this from? What are, you know, what else are you thinking? Is there anything else? Like just asking it more questions and more having a conversation with it than just speaking to it.
Yes. I always say thank you for one day it's eventually our overlord, and then hopefully they show mercy upon you.
Bro, it's happening.
Yeah.
You can't stop it. It's happening.
Probably as we speak.
Literally. It's progressing crazy. Well, because the AI is progressing itself at this point.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I know that the new Google one coming out, I think will be a huge game changer for businesses, because Google Meet is they have the auto translate. So I just speak and you hear in whatever language you want in real time. Yeah. So that combined with, I think, like the new Google, the new version of Google Glass, which is just like, you know, looks like normal glasses, but that's got like real time translation, like AR overlay. And you know, if and it's got real time translation via speech as well. So you just sit there having a chat and a conversation, and all of a sudden you just start hearing in English, and it's like, oh man, like that's taken away barriers. So like you can translate your ads, you know, into hello. You can translate your ads, and then you can have a sales call, and I can speak in English, and they can hear it in Spanish or Chinese or whatever. So like that's going to be a game changer for businesses. Like they're going to be able to expand markets extremely quickly.
Expand markets and even just like expand where you're pulling your workforce from.
Yes. Yeah. And you don't have to worry about the whole, you know, it's, you know, just like the whole Star Wars thing. The reason why they can all speak is they're all got universal translators. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just, we can understand any language. So that'll be huge. And I think that'll start to expand markets. And that will, like, especially for like high tickety type space, that'll probably be like the next big boom will be like bringing in a lot of the other countries. And, you know, you can sort of you can recycle some of the old marketing stuff they haven't seen before. So you can go back to 2019 and start, you know, ramping it up again.
Second.
So it should be fun.
Yeah, it's going to be crazy. I think AI is at the same place as like the internet was in the early 2000s. Like, I don't think it's going to replace people, but people using AI will replace people.
Yeah, I think it's just going to make the people who use it a lot more efficient. And then
Yeah.
the reps, especially in the business owners who adopted to analyze their sales and marketing and do it well. I don't even mean like using, Gong to like analyze every call, but I think, if you want to if put every call in there and then look for trends. I think the issue is that people who have like, misguided ways of using data already will go further into the rabbit hole, and it will make them far worse because they will like overanalyze small individual bits of data. Whereas if you can just compile lots of it and then get trends, I think it will be, you use it that way, then you can make some smart, actionable choices. Put your P&Ls in every month,
Yeah.
and then all
You
of a
have to
sudden,
have a pattern versus a one-off.
exactly. And that's what AI is really good for, is finding patterns that you're unlikely to see yourself.
Yep.
And that's the key to sort of problem solving your business or problem solving your sales or your marketing, whatever. But if you're, is to understand and find those patterns and then be able to take like one small actionable step and then test to see if it worked out. And if you do that, like say you change one metric per month, you've got 12 metrics over a year. And if you can significantly increase 12 metrics across a sales process or even a sales call, you have a significantly increased outcome by the end of it. Yeah. All right. Well, that's enough for today. If you guys are looking for this kind of guidance on a regular basis, go down below and you'll be able to see you can apply for mine and Caden's sniper insurance, right? So if you want to be a part of that, go down there below and you can go down to the funnel and then put your details in and hop on a call, and we will scream at you until you're not good enough and provide you with the father figure which you are so desperately needing. So, yeah, exactly. All right, guys. Thanks so much. And we will see you later.